I can't believe it. 2 weeks in a row. We're doing something. It's wild.
Yeah,
It's like a pattern. Look at that. Look at us being somewhat professional.
I thought this week was next week when I announced we probably wouldn't be live because I'd be out of town
Mm,
and I miscalculated.
hmm.
I'm still in town. It's next Saturday that I will be out. So I
Word. Word.
apologize for.
Are you and Katie taking the kids to the fair?
So I wasn't able to take them. We're going to try
Okay.
Monday night.
Okay.
Uh, not doing it. The kids, both boys, have had not been feeling well, so I don't want to do it on the weekend. Do it like after they get off out of
Sure.
daycare or preschool. Take them, get a couple things, let them walk around, tire them the hell out, take them home, put them to bed.
Okay. Um, what are we talking about today, man?
Well, a couple of
What
things.
what did you what did you talk me into?
So a couple of things happened. We can go over just some quick thoughts about the Activision deal went through.
Thank
Um,
God. Let it. I'm happy
I'm not. I
because I'm
mean,
tired of talking about it. I'm happy.
I'm tired of talking about it. But what I will say is, I find it fitting that it went through on Friday the 13th and in October. To me, that's just a bad sign. Like I'm just like
Okay.
we're gonna regret this. But hey, so that happened, and then Friday, I don't know if you saw, Best Buy made a huge announcement, and
Oh,
it's
I saw the reports Thursday, and then I saw it get confirmed Friday. I was like, oh, poor
yep.
Leroy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. So if you guys don't know, I put it on our Facebook page if you'd like to go check it out. I didn't rant, but I did.
If you want to see his rant, look at our last stream last week.
And the funniest thing is, I still got so much in me to get out. I just I'm 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 screaming to the hilltops that I cannot stand this. But anyway, um, Best Buy is no longer going to sell Blu-ray or DVD movies in the store, physical copies. You have to go online to buy them, and I'm not a fan. I am not a fan.
I
So they
am curious. I think part of the statement I said was, or that I saw, is the company says this will allow them to have more retail space to give you more experiences to buy other technology. And I'm just curious, what other technology are you going to put in your store to get people to buy?
Now what I will say, and this is coming from us as I guess we're considered content creators. So yeah, I know. Um, so when you walk into the Best Buy on our side of town, because remember, one of the Best Buys closed. Remember, we used to have four.
You talking
No,
about the one on the far end of two
we used
notch?
to have three. Yeah. So ours is in the Sandhill area. There was one in Two Notch across the street from the mall, and there's
Hmm.
another one in Harbison. So we used to have three.
Oh,
Um,
I guess we still got three because you got one in Lexington.
yes, so we did have four.
We had
Thank you,
four.
thank
Yep.
you, thank you.
Yep.
So we did have four. Oh, man. So the one on Two Notch closed and turned into a church.
That was the one I
Uh,
worked at.
really.
Hmm.
Um, so when you walk into the one closest to us, you would see the little kiosks for DVDs and stuff. Then you would go further back, and then you'd see the physical media section, and then you'd have video games like that. But if you walk to the left, the side where content creators would probably go to, so your cameras, your microphones, your lighting kits, that section is bare.
Hmm.
And I'm wondering if they're going to fill in that section more and bring in more because they have that side is washers and dryers, and then the other side you have computers. I'm wondering if they're going to expand more because like when I went to go look at cameras, they had nothing, like just regular DSLR cameras, video cameras. They had nothing. So like lighting kits and stuff, I'm wondering if that's going to be expanded.
Ray Sean K says he and his daughter go in every once in a while just to look around.
Heck,
Also,
I
Zaylin Maru says it's fair season in Texas as well. Cool.
yep. I want to highlight this comment. I want to say
I don't know how to pronounce that name.
I don't either.
I
And
don't.
if you have a pronunciation key, I'd really appreciate it. But I'm trying to highlight. Physical media was the only reason I still shopped at Best Buy, and I'll never shop there again. I'm gonna be honest with you. Only reason why I went into Best Buy was for physical. Like if I bought a game online, I would go pick it up curbside service, like when the pandemic was going strong. And I just went in recently to buy the steel book for,
Spider-Man.
yep, Spider-Man. That was the
Did you
last one I
see?
bought.
I just saw now that they are pairing both of those movies together for like $84, which I don't know if that's a deal or not because I don't know what they are single, but
It's
it
not.
seems crazy. I don't know.
It's not. Now, I'm the idiot that keeps buying the steelbook version, and I probably will buy whatever the three case,
Yeah,
whatever
sure.
it is. I wish I could pronounce your name.
Hey, give us a
Hecka,
pronunciation guide in your comments and in your.
Heck. I'm gonna just say Hecka, because I can say that. I'm with you. I have a home server of 120 terabytes of hundreds that I ripped over the years, and I got a bunch of deals at Best Buy. Besides eBay, yeah. I still buy physical movies or physical media, and I still buy movies that, because you never know. My name is Kay. Thank you. Okay, Kay. That's what I'm gonna call you. And
Okay,
welcome,
there we
Kay.
go.
Welcome, Kay. Um, to my wife's chagrin, I still buy physical media. Matter of fact, I go to Goodwill all the time to buy Blu-rays or DVDs of stuff. And
And this is
so
stuff
that
for your collection, not stuff to sell, right?
both,
Oh, okay.
because like you can find like let's perfect example. Damn, where did it's in the room. So I went in. I spent $5. I found District 9 and Captain America, uh, Winter Soldier. The digital copy in the Goodwill DVD, the Blu-ray, and it was everything. It was the Blu-ray, DVD, and 3D Blu-ray. It was still in there,
Dang.
and I was able to download. So I have the digital copy of it,
Yeah.
and now I have two copies of Winter Soldier, and I'll probably flip the Winter Soldier because it's the best Captain America. Um,
See, people are bringing up Plex all day as a server type system to hold all your stuff. I have a coworker of mine. I don't know if he uses Plex or something else, but he talks about that. He has like a little server type thing where all his stuff is stored digitally. Same thing Kay was talking about. Kay has 120
mhm.
by terabytes of storage or whatever for DVDs and Blu-rays.
And honestly, I'm the same way. I want a physical copy of it and a digital copy. Um, but I think this is, I'm not a fan of this because I'm not a fan. I think we're losing out on that human connection of going into a store, picking up something, talking to someone, a sales rep, or because a lot of times, I don't know how many times you talked to somebody and got a recommendation. It was like, oh, you like this, or you had to talk to somebody to get something. And they're like, oh, you like this? You should check this out. It's like, oh yeah, I did watch that. You should like that interaction. I
I
think
got plenty of recommendations and I gave plenty of recommendations when I worked at Best Buy on stuff like that.
so. A me who check out the wonderful what is it called? The woman who did the podcast with me, you, and my brother at the comic book the convention episode. Anyway, I'll find it before I'll put it in the comments.
Couldn't
She
tell you.
said she said she worked at Best Buy for 13 years,
Hmm.
and she says that she primarily worked that section of things.
I wonder if we ever worked together.
Probably,
Oh, yeah, that's which
and
one she worked at.
so I just yes. Thank you, Kay. Thank you. Yes. Okay. Your comments getting you and Kim from Chicago. We're not only losing that human connection, but we're also, you're right, they are editing stuff, tweaking things when they put it up on streaming. And I don't think we'll ever get the original Star Wars ever streamed without Lucas's tweaking.
Sure.
Um, and then they're going back, just like I'm I'm not I don't think some of these books are necessarily for me, but I still think we should keep them. So like, we have a history of misogyny, racism, homophobia, whatever you want to call it. And Dr. Seuss was one of those people who wrote and illustrated books that may not have necessarily be appropriate for this day and age. But we should still keep those things. We shouldn't pull them out of rotation. We should still have them so people can look and say, this is where we came from. Stop sanitizing. And I think that's what is happening when we go to streaming and people tweak that kind of stuff. That, but I'm off my soapbox. I apologize, people.
He'll get
That's
back on the
something too.
soapbox again. For anybody who's new, he will get back on that soapbox again. Don't you worry.
Well, speaking of human connections, the topic that I wanted to get into is it's Halloween. It's the day after Friday the 13th. The Bad Omen is the Activision deal.
I
But I
was
also want,
curious why you picked this now and not closer to Halloween.
well, we
Were
can
you like,
still
we
do it.
probably won't do it. We probably won't do an episode then.
Well, I was wondering if something would happen where we weren't able to do it.
Oh,
So,
sure.
um, I thought about like speaking of human connections, and I think one of the things that made me think about this was Friday the 13th happened, and I was always do like I haven't been able to do it, but usually for the month of October, I always try to like watch a horror movie. And horror has, and I was like, well, what counts as horror? Because does Jordan Peele's movies count as horror movies or are they thrillers? And it made me think, what has made horror endure for so long? And is horror, and why does the elements of horror seep into everything? Like, why do we like being scared? And why does that genre seep into everything, whether it be books, video games, movies, television series? It seems to, you can't get away from it. And even the people who say they don't like horror movies have watched this. And I would say Godzilla reminds me of a horror movie where the monster is always like talked about and then like you hear it but you don't see it sometimes, and I just wanted to talk about it. Like, what is, would you consider Jordan Peele's movies horror?
I consider any movie I'm not going to go see because it's going to scare the shit out of me horror. So yeah, I'm gonna put that in Jordan Peele.
Okay, so you would put Jordan Peele as horror,
Yeah, why
but
not?
you like this and you watched it,
I can't tell what that is.
Zombieland.
Oh, okay. I can do horror comedy.
Okay, so but see, that's my point. So like you can do horror comedy, right? But
Hmm.
you don't like straight up horror.
Nah,
So
I don't
what
like that
is it?
feeling.
So okay, talk about
We
that feeling. Why
we've talked
are
about
you
this
not?
before.
Yeah, but I guess
You just want me to talk about it again?
I I'm getting to something, and I'm trying, and I'm walking down a road for us to get there and see if you are
I
with
don't
me.
like the feeling of not being in control like that, even though it's a movie and I realize that it's all entertainment. I don't like the
Hmm.
feeling that brings me. So I was like, I'm not going to put myself through that idea of watching horror. And sometimes, people, it's hard to quantify sometimes what people qualify as horror. So some people may say one thing is horror, something is not. But generally, horror comedies I can do okay with, and some things that are maybe not as intense. Like I would never see a Saw movie, not even from the horror aspect. I just don't like the idea of watching people being tortured like that. That's not my
Hmm.
bag. But any other type of horror movies, like I don't think I've ever seen. I've never seen a Freddy movie, never seen a Jason movie. I've seen maybe two of the Halloween movies,
Oh,
and
that's a good comment.
that was through
Which
maybe it was like
Halloween
I can't remember, couldn't tell you.
was it any of the newer ones or
No,
was it the older
it was
ones?
older
So it
stuff.
was okay.
Pretty sure I saw Halloween H2O.
Is that the one with LL?
It was in one. I thought Busta Rhymes was in one.
That was is in Halloween. You know what? Before I stake out.
Black people are all the same. That's what Leroy just said. It's fine. Um, but yeah, I've probably seen two of the Halloween movies, but for the most part, I just stick away. I don't like that feeling, so like, nah. But but my lady, she likes horror stuff. So
See, and that's, yeah, I was right. LL Cool J is in that. But
dang,
so here's
don't
my
remember
question.
him.
So here's my question. What has she gotten you to watch that would be considered horror that you
Not
normally
what's
wouldn't
the
watch on your
one
own?
with is it Pumpkinhead?
Ooh, I hadn't watched that.
I gotta see who the guy is. Who's the Lance Henriksen? Is he in
Yeah,
Pumpkinhead?
Yeah, I think so.
Saw that. I was able to see that because it was made so long ago, and the graphics are, they were fine at the time, but they're almost laughable now. So I was able to watch that. I've seen that, and I've probably seen like some weird stuff, like where the premise is so weird that I can get behind it. I
Hmm.
saw the one where there was a murderous tire killing people,
I know that movie. Yeah,
and
that
maybe it's
was a
called
funny
Rubber
movie.
or something. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll see that. I think I saw one with some sheep. I think it might have been called Black Sheep. It was like murderous sheep. And I was like, this is so weird. I can watch that. Rubber, yeah. But that's about it, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, so you talked about what you can watch. So let's go
Mhm.
through some of the stuff. Dawn of the Dead, um, James Gunn and Zack Snyder's remake. Yes or no?
What, would I watch it?
Have you watched it?
No.
You would consider this horror.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, just checking. Um,
I feel like I'm about to be hosted on my own petard or something. I don't know what's about to
no, no,
happen
no.
here.
I'm getting at like so. I think everybody has a line they won't cross when it comes to a lot of stuff, whether it's horror, whether it's sci-fi. So
You already know the answer. You trying to take away my
no,
nervous part.
I don't know. I don't know.
I've never seen Alien.
Really,
Yes,
aliens?
I know.
Oh, okay. Would you consider Predator? Any of
That's interesting. I've
and
seen. I
that
think I've seen all the Predator movies.
so the reason why I asked is because straight horror is a no for you, but he has not seen the thing. I do know
Yeah,
that for a fact. He's not seen the thing. One of the best horror movies, just movies in general. And that's one of those things that I think the distinguisher comes in. You I think the first Predator movie is a horror movie. I
I
would consider
wonder.
that.
I feel like we're doing therapy for myself. But I wonder if it's a thing of the setting of where the movies are,
Mhm.
because Alien is a dark setting on a spaceship, right? That whole setting just kind of off putting to me. But Predator's in a jungle that's daylight, and it's easier for me to watch. I don't know. Just throwing that out there.
Because you've seen the first Predator, you've seen the second one with
I've
Danny
seen
Glover,
Predator. Seen Predator 2 with Danny Glover. Man, what a movie! So weird.
and I
Uh,
think
I saw Alien versus Predator.
um,
I saw Prey. I saw
and you saw
Predators.
Predators,
Yeah,
which so the reason why I asked that is because I think there's a distinction when it comes to is it the setting, but you have seen Event Horizon.
I've seen that in like I
Okay,
saw like 10 minutes here, then I went somewhere else, and then somehow I
okay,
saw the ending.
hmm
Pro- you know what? I bet if I watched the movie probably in reverse order, I could almost handle it because I'm not having that build up to suspense. Like once I
yeah,
saw what's old boy covered in that blood talking about demons in hell, I was like, oh, this movie, nope.
hmm
But once I knew
Sam
that
Neill,
was Sam
Sam
Neill,
Neill.
but once I'd
Was
already
that when
seen that,
was that when his eyes were already gouged out?
maybe.
Okay,
But once I saw the whole ending, I'm like, well, I know what we're building up to, so it's kind of
yeah.
easier for me to do
So
it.
I saw Event Horizon in theaters, and I was blown away, and I was like,
That's because you have no soul. Keep going.
I sold it a long time ago.
Hmm.
Uh, that sandwich was good though. Um, so it's the feeling of the movie, which I can understand that. Now, but here's the thing: you don't watch a lot of horror, but you will watch like video game trailers or like movies. So like you watch the video of this Pitch
Yeah,
Black. I'm not Pitch Black. I'm sorry,
you were
Renaissance
reading as a
Black.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Um,
remember, I don't play them. I can watch them.
I I understand, but I guess what I'm saying is, what is different from watching a someone play a game
Hmm.
that because I don't and that's my question. Would The Last of Us Part 1 and 2 be considered a horror game? It felt like
It's got horror elements.
it
I,
has
I, I feel
see
like that's
that's
safe to say.
so like perfect example. This has horror elements. This has horror elements. This is a horror game.
Hmm.
This is so like what about the games that have horror elements in it makes it okay for you to watch versus a
I think it's the
movie that
same
has
thing. I almost feel, and I know this for a fact. Whenever I'm playing a video game, I am more involved, even more so than watching a movie. So I already know that if I'm watching a movie and I really get into it, I don't want to feel those feelings. I definitely don't want to feel it when I'm controlling a character. Like, what's going on? I think I played maybe probably the first 30 to 35 minutes of Last of Us. And I'm like, nah, that's too much for me. Couldn't do it.
Okay. It's
So I
that
just ended up
intense
watching
feeling.
stuff like that. Yeah. Now,
Okay.
Resident Evil games, the first couple I uh, played through a few of them, and the more recent ones, I haven't played them. One because not because of the scary part, but more so the FOV field of view on it is so intense that
Mhm.
it kind of gives me motion sickness.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, we talked about that because you were like, when we did the stuff for Village, you were not a fan,
yeah.
and you were like that the way it moved. Um, so I didn't play Village. I didn't play. Sorry, back up. So I used to always say that I don't like horror. I remember saying that like I'm not a big horror person. Then I realized, oh, I do like horror, and I didn't realize like, oh, I do like a lot of things that are horror. I love Dawn of the Dead, the original. I don't do Chucky. I don't do like the serial killer type, like the. I don't do like Friday the 13th or Hellraiser. That's not me. But I remember getting into Saw when it first came out. I thought the premise there was nothing like it, and then I do remember going down the rabbit hole. Thank you, Netflix. Um, Shout out to a friend of the show,
Do I
Netflix.
know 9 foot tall vampire lady? I know 9 foot tall vampire lady.
But I got into horror, and then I started watching horror from other countries, like what was to be considered horror. So I got into remember Quarantine, the Spanish.
Vaguely, that wasn't like a found footage movie, was it?
Yes,
Okay, I feel like I remember trailers about that. Maybe, yeah.
yes. So I got into that, and then I got into some weird stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh, what did? And I did like really chill on some things where I was like,
You found out some stuff about yourself. What
so
did you
Renee
tell
says
me?
we need to distinguish horror from gore and torture porn. So here's the thing: horror as a category is a huge category, and this is where I and the reason why I brought it up is because I think we don't talk about this critically and have a real conversation. Superhero movies is a genre, but underneath superhero movies, you can have action, comedy, drama, horror. New Mutants is considered a superhero movie.
That is a horror movie that I watched.
But it's a horror movie. And
Yeah,
so in horror, I think horror has a lot of subgenres underneath it. And I think horror as a genre, if you look at it, we're all horror fans, but there are other movies within that subgenre that we do not, you may not like. So you may not like the slasher, you may not like gore. Me and my wife liked Happy Death Day too.
I
We
saw
watched
those.
that. And those were hilarious. I
Yeah,
loved them.
I
But
would, I would,
Cabin
I
in the
would be happy with the third one of those.
Cabin in the Woods. Um, or the movie Freaky. Did you see the trailer for Freaky where
That interested me. Yeah, Vince
yeah,
Vaughn and
so me and my wife,
Ant Man girl now.
uh, I know exactly what you're talking about. She was in Detective Pikachu.
Yeah,
I like her.
yeah.
I love her as an actress. I just didn't like her as Cassie
Okay.
because I wanted the other girl. And that's just me. I don't know. So I think that's one of the things that I think we don't. That's why I wanted to have this conversation. When we talk about horror as a genre, horror has so many subgenres underneath it. You have to pick and choose what you like and what you can handle. And I think that's one of the misnomers that I always said. Caitlin Dever, thank you. Um, I'm not a big I'm not a big torture person, but I did watch all the hostels. I did. I watched all the hostels.
No, not
Um,
Caitlin Dever. That's a different white actress.
Kim
Now,
Chicago just lumping white women together.
it's like that is a different white actress. Caitlin Dever
Catherine
is
Newton.
awesome, by the way.
Catherine
Yes,
Newton. Yes, I like her.
Caitlin Dever was good. She was in Booksmart
She's in No One Can Hear You, No One Can Save You. That's a really good movie.
and she was
Um,
in Justified.
yes.
Yeah,
What, the show?
Yeah, she
Oh,
was young.
sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But I think that's what I wanted to talk about. Like, why does horror have so many genres? Whereas, like, when everybody's running around, like, what is it about it that appeals to so many people that it has so many genres? Because I would say out. So I did want someone else to play Cassie. I did not want
Oh,
Catherine Newton. Yes, I did not want Catherine
Ken
Newton to
from
play her.
Chicago. I'm sorry. Were you saying Caitlin Dever should have been the person? Sorry.
I I
I
would
think the
have
way we're seeing
rather.
these comments, it seems like you're almost
Yeah.
answering questions beforehand. I got you now.
And and there
Caitlin
may
Dever
be a
might have been a good
delay.
choice
There may be a delay because they'll answer something as we've already answered it. So there may be a delay as we're talking about stuff. So we got to keep that
Oh,
in
for
mind
sure.
too.
For sure.
This is a perfect example. Ray Sean Kane brings up a Final Destination 1 and 2. Those would be considered horror movies, and I have watched them, and I was like, and that's when I really thought about like, oh, I do like horror. It just has to be a certain. No, not really. I wanted the original actress that was in Infinity War. No, um, Endgame. I wanted her to continue to be Cassie. Um, but anyway, off the subject. But I guess that's what I wanted to ask you. Why do you
The
think
girl that
it?
had
And
like two lines, she
I
came and opened the door and said, Dad, and gave him a hug.
here's the thing.
Uh huh.
I would rather the person who'd already been given the role keep doing it unless something physically is not. And I think the thing that I didn't like about the director who said the thing about the girl saying that Catherine was a better fit. You don't know because you didn't give that girl a chance, and that's the kind of thing that I didn't like. And instead of saying, well, Catherine had a better agent and we liked her better, like you can't say that, but like let's be honest, that's why you did it. Don't
Well,
say
I
that
mean, do we
girl.
know that they had a read and maybe it didn't go well?
The way he made it seem is if the other girl couldn't handle it. But then we saw her in other things and we were like, no, she could have handled it. Like the physical aspect of the movie was hard. And I'm like, but we saw her act in I'm trying to remember what she acted in. And it was like, yeah, that whatever the excuse was, it didn't hold water. So, but horror is so different to other people. So like Bird Box. Did you watch that?
No, but even if it wasn't horror, I just didn't care for the premise.
Okay.
I didn't care about seeing blind Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, so she wasn't blind.
She had on a blindfold.
She had on a blindfold, but she wasn't
She
blind.
blind.
Um, but I'd like to talk with everybody about like why does it endure and why do we enjoy it so much?
Question for you, and we haven't brought
Yeah,
this up, but this is Jaws.
Jaws is horror.
Yeah. Can we, I mean, because you talk about the whole idea of the monster not being shown.
Hmm.
One of the greatest summer blockbusters. Didn't that start the summer blockbuster trend
It
all the
did.
way back
It
then?
it it start it started the whole idea of a summer blockbuster.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
here's the other thing: the guy who wrote the book, after seeing the movie and after seeing we as humans how we treated great white sharks, he hates the idea of Jaws. He hates the movie because he campaigned against the movie and how we treated sharks after that, which I get because we're terrible.
yeah, humans suck.
But I
Um,
wonder, going back to your point, is that why we like horror? Because we are terrible.
I don't know. I like the Ken from Chicago. Like I said, people like being scared to a certain degree. It's kind of the feeling that you get on a roller coaster, or at least for me, is like that anticipation before the drop of like, oh, kind of dreading it, and then you feel that pit in your stomach. I kind of feel that way sometimes when I see certain scenes in horror movies. And a
Do
roller
you
coaster,
ride
I'm
roller
okay with
coasters?
it. I like roller coasters.
Really?
Yeah. I haven't been to Carowinds in forever because I lost my keys there, and now I have a silent protester. I'm not going. It's not
Well,
Carowinds' fault; it's mine. But I don't go anymore.
that and you did a video about them.
I mean,
The-
I didn't
the-
do the video. A viewer did a video about Carowinds, and the
you know,
nation saw the video.
yeah.
Hey, I would get back on the Fury 325.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not.
because I would wager that ride is probably the safest more than all the other ones now because it's probably checked more.
Hmm, maybe, maybe.
Because, buddy, if you think that was the most unsafe roller coaster, woo, I always felt like
Well,
the hurler at Carowinds was, and that was a bumpy roller coaster because it was a wooden roller coaster. That one I'm always felt like it's gonna break.
um, I would say, I guess that's kind of the question. Is like, why does it endure for so long, and what does that say about us? And I really wish we, this conversation I want to keep going because there's other people I would include in it, and sit down with them and be like, why do you? Because we just had recently in September the first horror convention here in Columbia, South Carolina, put out by this guy Jay Moulton, and we met his wife. We talked to her, and she was like, "It's a family friendly environment." And they did really well, so well that they're going to do a sequel. And
I like that you say a sequel as opposed to just another one. I like that.
nah, I like the idea as a sequel.
It's a sequel. Okay,
like
cool.
like horror movies, they have sequels.
Yeah.
So
All right.
I like the idea of that it doing well, but it really it got me thinking that horror a lot of times is family events because you have the Hall of Horrors or they have the corn mazes and stuff like that, and it's like we've really embraced after a time of horror being this family thing. Stranger Things having the '80s creepy horror elements in it, but it's you hear a lot of families talking about watching that show together. Um, man, these comments are going. It's hard to keep up too.
You guys are very active tonight, which is awesome. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's unusual for us, but
Well,
I'm glad that you guys are very active. Maybe just
Colorado
it just
already spoiler alert, Colorado already lost this morning, and so
I mean, we're Dion and his team. They had a nice little run at the beginning, but we're over them now, right?
hey man, I knew this trade was going to come to an abrupt end. I just didn't know when,
Dion
because
Dion is an incredible player. He might be an okay coach. He ain't the best coach,
but
and the
here's the
team
thing.
that he has is okay.
Here's the thing. I think the Dion thing, everybody's infatuated with it. As long as he was winning,
Sure.
he got to keep winning, and if he keeps the games close, he'll keep the interest.
Yeah.
But they start getting shellacked out there.
Mm-mm.
Whoo! Is it that people could start sliding them bushes like Homer Simpson? But so let's get into some of these comments. I saw one of the things Renee says Jaws worked the same reason Alien worked. You barely see the big bad. I think that's a lot of it too, Renee. I think that's a big part of it. But I also think, piggybacking off of what you said, you cared about the people.
That wasn't Renee.
You
That was
K. That was
okay.
K in response to Renee. So thank you.
Got it.
So I will post that comment. Um, I think one of the things that I think about these movies that really make it is the idea of the setting. If you care about the character, you then care about what happens to them. And I think that's what made Scream one of those movies. It was the meta stuff in the movie, but I also think it was you cared about Sydney. You cared about what happened to her and this family, this small town, and these people. You cared about the characters in the movie.
You know what? One horror. I
Um,
did watch a horror series on Fox, Scream Queens.
yeah,
I watched that, and mainly because it was more funny than scary. But that is a horror thing that I watch. I
was
watch
that
both
Ryan
those movies.
Murphy?
Uh huh.
Was that Ryan Murphy?
Yep.
And I watched the first series of American Horror Story, um, but I didn't keep up with it. And it's Ryan Murphy is his American Horror Stories. It's a franchise now. People love it. Um, but I think that's what made those movies stand out. But Tales from the Crypt, like it is, and it's funny because it's like it goes in these cycles. Um,
I think it's an idea to a lot of times in horror it can be like a part of the unknown,
Hmm.
and I think people are fascinated by the unknown, whether it's life or death, or whether you believe there's life after death or whatever. It's just you know, you don't know what comes next,
Hmm.
and that part of that is kind of built into the horror mythology too. I think Tales from the Hood. That is a movie. Woo! When I was younger, I could not watch
Yeah,
that movie.
I
I have
watched it.
since
That
seen
was
it
hilarious.
now, and it's
And you know,
funny.
it's hilarious.
It's funny,
It's
but at the time I was like, "Ooh, no, not for me."
But I think also too, and two comments. One, um, Renee says he's still riding for Dion, which I can appreciate that. Um, we'll get to the horror. Um, Kim from Chicago's comment about horror fans don't. I think there's there are some fans who there are those movies just like anything else. There are people who only care about the aggressive kills, and I think that was what made part of Saw and Hostel so fun for some people. They did want to see Final Destination. They did want to see these gruesome these deaths. But I do think in some of these movies, if you care, Kay brings up caring about the actual likable character goes a big way. When every character is a mindless moron, you don't care for the film. Um, one of those movies that I think that falls into the horror comedy is Tucker and Dave Fight Evil. Freaking hilarious movie. Um, it it you care about the characters in the movie even though they have these horrible things happen to them, and it's funny, but I think if you do care about them it does go a long way to endure you to suffer through what you may find distasteful. um, but I also think the flip side of that is going back to what Kim from Chicago was saying, if you don't like these people you enjoy watching them get tortured.
That's true. Yeah, I can see that.
If you don't like these people and you because every movie there's always somebody that you're like
You an asshole.
and you
Yeah.
cannot wait for that person to get it. I remember in Alien Resurrection the doctor who like did all of this stuff when he finally got killed you were like yes, and so like you and then there's always the person that you're like oh that person had to go. It's like kicking a puppy, but you like, and so you have these different feelings of who you root for in these movies. I One of the things that I think that's interesting is I think you picked up on it too when you talked about Tales from the Hood. Are there movies that you were able to go back now and watch that?
I mean, maybe, but at this point, there's so much media out there. I don't know that I'd have time to watch it. I finally just finished Ahsoka.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I finished Ahsoka.
We need to get a review of that up because
I need
I have thoughts.
I finished or I'm caught up on Welcome to Wrexham. That's a very fun show, by the way. Welcome to Wrexham. If you're into soccer, or even if you're not into soccer, just seeing the behind the scenes stuff.
Mhm.
Um, Train to Busan. I have not seen Train to Busan. I heard it was good.
It's very good.
I heard there is a Korean horror movie that I did watch. Was it The Host? Is that what it's
Yes,
called?
it is. And here's the funny thing: it is horror, but it has a lot of comedic elements in it. But I wouldn't necessarily call it horror comedy.
You know,
Um,
one thing I will say that is interesting to me, sometimes watching movies in a foreign
setting.
language is
Oh,
easier to watch because I can't necessarily keep up with the screen because I'm with the visual because I'm reading the text. So that sometimes that'll cut the tension too for me. So,
I think also too watching movies in groups. You know,
no, sure.
I think that Um, now that's one I know I railed about technology and streaming and all that other stuff. Um, Still feel the same way, but I do like on streaming that, and it happened during the pandemic, the idea of watch parties or people just joining together and watching stuff together. I think that I watched Jordan Peele's. I've watched the last two Jordan Peele movies in the theater, and Us I think was really good watching as a group. Um, um, I think I think that lends to maybe how some people get introduced into horror, that feeling of watching something together with people, and then you're not alone. I'll be honest, there are certain horror movies that I've watched, and I was like, I'm watching this during the daytime with the lights on, and because like I have a conversation with myself, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna watch a horror movie tonight, and that's daytime Leroy.
Hmm.
Nighttime Leroy is like, you know what, it's 10:30 at night. Um, or when I was working at a station, it's 12:30.
Hmm.
Not watching this. Not
Yeah.
watching this. It's like especially after the day's events, I was like, nah. But uh hold on. So Herbert brought up the Korean horror series, The Kingdom. I haven't gotten to that. My sister's been begging me to watch that so we can talk about it. Um, um, there's a lot of stuff out there. So like there's been a couple of movies that I've watched and I've just been like, what did I just see? And but there's some of them that have like a social commentary, like when you realize like I will always remember Night of the Living Dead as being one of the greatest movies just ever.
Hmm.
And it
The
still holds
original
up
one.
in the original one. And when you realize what just happened in that movie, and it's sad to say, as old as that movie is, I could see that movie playing out the exact same way. And that's what really is sad to me. Like that movie, just the way Michael, I think you could honestly watch that and it not get you.
That's in
But
black
I
and white,
think
right?
mhm,
Hmm.
it's the slow moving zombies.
Yeah.
I think I think you would. It's sad to say, but I George Romero did an awesome job. One of the best movies ever made, but it's just so sad that I think it would still play out the same way. But it's that social commentary, this idea that horror movies sometimes brings up. Um, Came from Chicago. It was a global pandemic, and Killian Murphy woke up in a hospital bed. Um, the premise for that movie was amazing. They're still talking about doing a 28 months later. The Mist, another one, with the whole religious overtones in it. Um, for my question to you is, do you think you would go back and watch maybe some of these old school horror, like an Alien or Aliens or The Thing? Or
Um,
because the reason why I said is because there are certain movies that are classified as classics regardless of where they fall. So I'm wondering, like, because you're a little older, the science fiction or the special effects aren't as so. Could you go back and watch some of these things and like
possibly.
understand?
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Do I? They're not on my. They're not high on my list at the moment, to be honest. Um,
Okay.
because I got so much other crap that I could probably not watch to get to them. I don't know. I'm trying to watch the One Piece anime right now. That's thousands of episodes.
The anime,
Yeah, because I
the
watched the
anime.
Netflix live action special. Like, oh, this was fun. So now I'm trying to go back and watch the anime. Yeah,
You must ain't got nothing else to do.
I mean, I try to sneak one in at work every once in a while when I'm EPing. If I'm producing, I don't have time. But if I'm EPing, I try to get an episode or two.
Yeah, Kim from Chicago says Disney Plus is re-airing Werewolf by Night next Friday in color. I'm
That
gonna be honest
I
with
did
you,
enjoy that.
and so that's why I said like horror covers so many different genres. To the fact of, I'm shocked more of these big budget franchises hasn't dipped their toe in it more. So like I'm ready for Star Wars to get into horror. I want to see what they do with horror in the Star Wars. Like I would love a Star Wars horror movie.
Yeah, I think the issue though is like you said, horror indoors. We love it as a society, just as people overall. That it's popular. Um, Also, the big thing about it is it seems to be very profitable because a lot of times most horror movies are made for dirt cheap. So even if you make $1 million or something off of it, it's cool because you maybe only spent $100,000. It
Paranormal
seems to be
Activity,
like, yeah, most for the most part,
Blair
horror
Witch
movies are
Project,
probably some of the cheapest movies to make and like probably the biggest return on investment.
ROI.
Yeah.
It's horror is one of the, I would say, and we'll get into that in our review. I would say horror. Ahsoka didn't dip into horror so much so that it dipped into necromancy and the fantasy elements more so. Um, and Ken Chicago's right. It doesn't need the big because the draw is the suspense. Now it works if you have a budget where you can get big name people. Um,
Yeah, Doctor Strange 2 tried to do it kind of had like some horror themes with some Dutch angles and the fact that Sam Raimi did it. I was like, oh yeah, I could see some Walking Dead or not Evil Dead influences in this movie.
yeah, you do. Yeah, but I'm not a big Sam Raimi fan, so like it, not that it went over my head. I didn't care for it. Like I
Hmm.
liked it, but it was like I thought it was supposed to be a multiverse movie, and it really
Y'all went to
wasn't.
like two universes.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
Um, um, Mandy, yes, Mandy. Kim Chicago brings up Mandy. Yeah. What is your favorite horror movie? Everybody throw out their favorite horror movie
Oh, you asking
because
the chat? I
everybody
hope
has one.
right because I
I'm
don't
asking
know that.
everybody. You have one.
I don't know. Scream, sure, why not?
Is that really your favorite? Or is that just the one you popped off the top of your head?
That's the one I can remember. So I'm gonna say Scream because
Um,
again, if the idea of horror is to give you a good scare and I don't like it, I don't know that I can recommend any of them for myself. But with Scream, I laughed. So I was like, oh, this is funny. And I get
and,
what they
it,
were going with.
and it made you jump a little bit because the kills because you didn't see them coming.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's another part of it too. You know, do you Miami at
Oh,
USC is coming horror movie?
that's
With that
rough.
being said, let me click over to see what the score of that game is because Miami had a huge. Miami deserved to lose that game last week.
Oh, we need to cover that video tonight.
What?
Miami at UNC. That's a game we need to cover. We don't have a sports people for like 5 days just for scheduling and just being out. So we're trying to cover certain sports games, even though we don't have a sports
Uh,
department right now.
yeah.
So
Why do you want to have a sports department? What happened?
one person had already put time off, and then the other person had to have surgery, and
Oh,
we only got two people in
oh,
the
okay.
department. So
Oh, yeah, most people. Renee says Hellraiser and Pitch Black. Now, I loved Pinhead as a character and the way he talked and the way he moved, but I could not get behind those movies. Now, Renee, are you talking the original Hellraiser or the remake? Because I heard the remake was good. I love Pitch Black. And again, when you talk about horror movies putting people on the map, look at Alien, putting Sigourney Weaver, Halloween, oh girl,
Jamie Lee,
uh, Jamie Lee Curtis, Pitch Black gave us Vin Diesel. Um,
you could argue
so
maybe that was good, maybe it wasn't.
what Pitch Black giving us Vin Diesel?
Yeah, giving us Vin Diesel, maybe that was good, maybe it wasn't. I don't know
Um, yeah, I think it is good. You know why?
why.
Because
What you about to say about the multiracial god?
I think
It's about family.
Vin Diesel being given a platform was the beginning of people accepting these pseudo. I don't want to say pseudo as a bad thing, but you see Vin Diesel, the character that he plays, is always like this macho, and he admitted like, "Oh yeah, I played D&D." So like it almost like opened the door for like people from from other talking about D&D and giving cover for those people who liked these nerdy things. It's like, look at Vin Diesel. He's an action star. And then you heard people like Sofia Vergara's ex-husband. The guy was the werewolf man, uh, sexy man, long hair.
Mangiano,
Yes,
Mena,
yes, yes.
something. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And I think, and talking about the really diverse casting settings, but I think a lot of that too, Kim Chicago, had to do with David Ayer and them changing the script from what it used to be. Because I don't know if you guys have seen the video with David Ayer talking to John Barenthal. When they first wrote Fast and the Furious, guess where it was supposed to be set at?
Mm.
New York City.
Hmm.
And the whole cast was supposed to be Italian.
David Ayers was talking about that.
David Ayers was a writer on Fast and the Furious.
Oh, interesting.
Yep. So so yeah, he was talking about like the whole idea of moving that movie to the West Coast, moving it and um changing the setting, talking, and I think that is a part of the whole Vin Diesel world or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I'm where did it go? Where did it go? There we go.
Yeah, they always bring up that video, Henry Cavill building a PC.
Mhm.
I wonder what he's going to get into now.
Well, he's got Argyle, and he's
I mean,
doing
that's already
Warhammer.
shot.
Yeah, that's what I'm
He's
saying.
doing.
Like
I
that's
didn't
the
know he was
next
doing
thing.
Warhammer.
Yeah, that's one of the things that they talked about.
Who is they?
Uh, the producers of Warhammer.
Okay.
Yeah, hold on, I'm pulling up right now. It's a Warhammer series. I want to get it from. Here it is, December 2022. Henry Cavill moves on to a Warhammer 40K adaptation with Amazon. Remember, that's part of the reason why he wasn't going to return to
Witcher.
Witcher. So yeah. Mm. So yeah, for me it was Alien, The Thing, Gal Gadot, uh, Fast and the Furious, because she's back.
What is Gal going to do next? She going to hope y'all watch Heart of Stone, so they can
I
make
still
another one
haven't
of
watched
those.
that. I still haven't watched that.
You don't need to.
Oh, you saw it?
Oh yeah, I saw it like opening weekend on Netflix. I'm like, oh,
Really?
it is
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
slow. Enola Holmes,
Spoiler
those
for
are
what?
fun.
Kim, what was the spoiler?
I think he was referring to Enola Holmes based on what happens in Enola Holmes 1 and 2.
Oh, she's in that?
No, I think that it's so weird as we get comments. I think that is referring to Henry Cavill because Henry Cavill's in Enola Holmes.
I'm so confused. Anyway, so yeah, so that's like Kingsman and Six Underground. Kingsman, I like Six Underground. It's a mess, but I find it hilarious. And I watch it every now and then from time to time when I'm cleaning up and it's on in the background. I think that Six Underground is hilarious.
It's on in the
Um,
background. You mean you put it on in the background? It's not
mhm.
like it's playing on TV or something.
No, I put it on the background.
Oh, okay.
I've probably watched that movie 6 or 7 times.
Love it.
I do. I
Um,
do. Makes no
cool.
sense. Um,
We went
so
about an
yeah,
hour. You got any other topics? I don't know. I don't know. Are you wrapping
no,
up on
I,
the
I
news? Are
just
you getting what's
I
happening?
just want to I just want to talk about it. Talk about give people a chance to talk about horror because we don't normally do that. Um, and there are a lot of channels out there that specialize in all these different things. But I just it's Halloween. I don't know. I know Spider Man comes out later this month. Um, I know the writers went back to
Next
work.
Friday. Talking about the game,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, the
We were talking
writers
about
went
that at
back to
work,
work.
man. People are
What,
so excited for
Spider-Man?
that game. Yeah. I'm excited for it too. I won't get it day one because I got other stuff to play, but I'm excited for it.
Yeah, so I don't know if we'll get to talk about Halloween and horror again because Mike that this is not a Michael topic, but I figured like it was Friday the 13th, and we don't often get a Friday the 13th in October. And mark this day down. I feel we're going to regret the gaming community, Activision being bought by Microsoft. And I feel like the omen that had happened on a Friday the 13th, that deal went through, is the omen that we're all going to look back and like, how did we not see this coming?
What do you think is going to happen? Like, you think Activision Blizzard was better off on its own?
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, I do. I honestly think Activision Blizzard was better on its own. Get rid of Bobby Kotick. Um,
That's never going to happen.
and I mean, I
Not
think
the,
it would have.
not the, he keeps making money.
He Here's the thing. I think the only reason why he was able to stay on as long as he did was that this deal was in place. And I think if this deal would have fell apart, he'd have been gone.
Interesting.
Now, granted, he'd have still. I mean, either way this works out, he's still going to be a billionaire. He's still going to make money. I feel like Microsoft addressed an issue that it was a glaring issue. Those leaks proved that it was a glaring issue. Um, Zaylen Maru, you may be right. I mean, I feel like this day, everybody talking about this, I'm going to be the one person.
We'll make a Clippy game, man.
If they make it, they'll put it on Game Pass. But I think this will be the. I think they'll look back and they'll be like, we should have seen this coming. Because I don't. Because here's the thing. You, if we keep thinking corporations are our friends, and that this is going to be good for gaming, as far as they're in this to make money any way they can. Look no further than what Unity did with their game engine. I don't trust corporations past anything that they say. So I think that this is going to be a major, and that's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but I don't see this being good for us in the long run.
Word. Folks, we went about an hour. 2 weeks in
Yep.
a row, we were live. Won't be live
Hmm.
again next week for sure because Leroy will be out of town.
Hmm.
Maybe we'll try to record something. Don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe the week after we'll be live. I want to shout out. Let's see who was in here. Ken from Chicago, Zaylen Maru.
K. Heck. Hector Chiris. K. I'm just gonna say K
Yeah,
because
yeah. I
I
don't know why
can't.
you. Yep. Was that Ken from
Ren-
Chicago, Zaylen Maru,
Renee.
Kay, Renee,
Renee. Ray Sean K.
Rayshawn, Herbert Thornton.
Yep.
I think
IMAX
there's some
was
other
in there for a
people in
little
there.
bit.
I did see IMAX drop something in there once or twice. Thank you to
Hmm.
everybody that was supporting us. Thank you for the new people who came in. This is the We Trying channel, Nerdy by Nature Productions. Y'all know where to find us: YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, all the places. We talk about random stuff all the time, so hopefully we'll be back with some more stuff. You can check out our videos.
Yeah.
Be safe, and I think that's it. You got anything else?
Nah.
Word.
Y'all are awesome. Keep up the
Yep.
good work.
Yeah.
We're out.
All right. Later.
Peace.